Namaste, namaste, and welcome to our very last Monday yoga session of 2024. And today we're going to put together lots of the work that we've done over the course of this term into a lovely standing series, and then we'll finish our class with some very nice softening, counterposing, massaging type poses on the floor. So for this class, we are going to need a squashy ball. If you prefer a firm block to a squashy ball, you can do all of the practices on a firm block. You just do them in a more static way. Squashy ball is more massaging, if that makes sense. And this one has about a third of the air taken out of it. And the other thing I have to hand is a firm block, which I can stand on, and it's not squashy. So if you don't have one of these to hand, a book will do very well as well. I'm going to use the support of a wall, but a chair or a table or a sofa back will do just as well. So let us begin by standing on our feet with our feet nice and wide apart. We'll take softness into the knees and then feel that inner lift beginning in the center of the soles of the feet, but activating the pelvic floor, the belly muscles, and lifting the back of the body nice and tall. And from there, we can twist a little bit from side to side. Here, we're just bringing our body into probably the first significant twists of the day. And we're trying to keep that center strong and stable whilst we soften the shoulders and relax the arms, letting the hands tap the body as the arms wrap around the body at the end of this twisting movement. The looser your arms can be, the more of a sort of traction you get on the shoulders. It's really, really lovely to let the muscles of the shoulders and upper back feel this kind of releasing. And particularly at this time of year when we can have quite a lot of tension across the neck and shoulders, Kati Chakrasana is a great practice. If you're doing something every day over the holidays, this could be the thing. Whenever you're ready, you can begin to pivot on your toes if you'd like to add that to your movement. Still allowing the arms to wrap and tap. And you can make those taps as firm as you like. So if you like to give yourself a little sort of open-handed, firm pat, then that is fine. Or you might close your fists ever so slightly for a gentle fist and a more pronounced tapping. If you wish to, you can add a soft bend in the knees, a little bounce and twist. For those who would like to, you can add a little look as well. So where you twist just a little bit further, touching the opposite shoulder in front, opposite hip behind, and really making the body resist the twist with the low body and activate the twist with the upper body. Making sure that you're using your belly muscles. When you're ready, you can lose the bounce and simply pivot. And then bring your feet to steadiness and sway slowly back to center. In the center, take a moment to stand tall again, but soften the shoulders, maybe gaze gently downward or close your eyes. Observe the body coming to stillness after our vigorous movements. Make note of how you feel in this moment. Maybe you're beginning to feel a blossoming of energy coming from center, a warmth spreading through the body, a slight increase in your heart rate and your breath rate, bringing with it a wash of prana and vitality. When you're ready, you can blink your eyes open and just gently roll your shoulders a few times. And we're just going to do some gentle movements of the head as well. So with your shoulders in stillness, finding length in the throat as well as the back of the neck. We're going to draw the chin towards the chest. Take a moment here, not forcing the head down, just allowing it to reach wherever it naturally goes. And then from here, a gentle roll of the head, right ear to right shoulder, and chin back to chest, and left ear to left shoulder. And we'll go from side to side. Feeling our way, feeling the connections between the movements we make and the sensations across the neck, the shoulders, the chest, the upper back, the jaw, the scalp. If you would like to, the next time your right ear comes towards your right shoulder, you can hang out there for a moment and gently nod the head, just a little up and down with the chin. If it feels good, you can press the left palm to the floor at the same time. You don't have to add that, but if you'd like to. And then relaxing the left hand, chin to chest, coming left ear to left shoulder again. If you wish to add a little nodding in that side bend position, and if you'd like to, pressing the right palm to the floor at the same time. When you're ready, relaxing your right hand, chin to chest, give yourself a big smile, and then raising your head, taking the bottom teeth over the top teeth, lifting the chin, and then slowly coming back to center. Relax your jaw. If you need to, like if your body tells you, you can take your chin down again, but if not, just here in the middle, give the jaw a little wiggle, roll the shoulders, do anything that feels good. And we will come to using our blocks to prepare the legs for our standing poses. So we've been doing practice like this throughout the term. We do a lot of this in chair yoga as well. So if you're ever needing a practice to do, you don't want to do something quite as vigorous as we sometimes do in our mat classes, you can use one of the chair videos available on this channel. So we're going to stand with one foot on the block. It doesn't matter which, but I'd advise it be the foot that's nearest your support. And we want to stand nice and tall. We can use just a fingertip touch on the wall. We don't want to lean onto the wall or the chair or the support, whatever you might be using. Our outside leg can dangle because we've got that little bit of height. And we can start with some gentle movements of the leg forwards and backwards. So the outside leg stays quite long and straight. So sometimes it looks like I bend my knee as it goes back, but I'm not. I'm keeping my leg nice and long. It's not locked straight, but it's extended. And then after our hips gotten used to this kind of movement, we can point the toes forward, flex the heel backwards, and make a little bit more of a movement with our outside leg. At the same time, we want to resist the movement with the rest of the body. So we're really firm in the belly. We're thinking about using the buttocks as well, the upper back to stand tall and to make our bodies move as little as possible. A little bit forwards and backwards. And we'll do just one more. And then we're going to bring the feet side by side, lift the outside hip up, and then lower the outside hip down. So a little hip hike and lower. Again, a little lift in the belly muscles to help here, just to keep stability in the center. I want to do about 5 of these. That feels good, more if you prefer. And then bending your knee up in front of you, some circling of that knee. So we're getting a little bit of a different movement into the hip joint. You can begin to work a little bit larger if you like. Again, firm across the belly, standing nice and tall, resisting the movement with the rest of the body. When you're ready, going in the opposite direction as well. Your standing leg is working really hard here. Don't lock the knee straight. Keep it active through the muscles. Getting a little bit bigger with your movements if you'd like to, only if it feels good for your hip. Let's do one more. And then we're going to stand onto both feet and just feel the difference between the two sides of the body. So your standing leg might be quite feel quite energized and strengthened by that, might feel also a little bit tired, that's okay. We're going to turn around and do the opposite side. So I might turn and be here if I've got enough room. Super stuff. So just arranging yourself, making sure you're not going to kick anything behind you. Standing nice and tall to begin with, thinking about lifting in the belly muscles, opening in the chest, and keeping the lightest touch on your support. We'll begin with a gentle swing of that outside leg. So we're not looking to do anything in particular. We're preparing this joint for movement after it's been quite stabilizing in the previous practice. When you're ready, you can point your toe forwards, flex your heel backwards, and just make the natural movement your body wants to make. So it doesn't need to be particularly big or high, just whatever it feels like doing. Keeping the upper body nice and supportive, lifting in the belly muscles, strong across the upper back. Let's do 2 more. Then we're going to bring the legs back towards each other and allowing that outside leg to dangle. We're lifting the outside hip up, closing that space between the bottom of the rib cage and the hip itself, and then lowering down. So a little hip hike up and down, doing 5 to 10 of these on each side. So whatever you did on the other side, doing on this side. And then bending your knee and making small circles to begin with this knee. Now, sometimes we get a clunking or a clicking or a grinding in the joints that we work. And if that's the case, make your movements slower and smaller, or if it feels painful, rest out completely. But if you can, making the bigger movements nice and firm through your support. And then we'll go the opposite way as well. Nice and small circles to begin with, building up to being a little bit larger. Feeling that standing leg is really working, keeping the knee softened so it's not locked straight. 1 more, I think. And then standing onto both feet and just feeling the effect on your body. So I hope that all of you are feeling something from doing this practice. I certainly am. So here we just give our bodies a little bit of a rub and a pat if you'd like to. You can give yourself a little stir of the hips as well if that feels good. Aces. And also with the wall, I'm going to move my block a little bit out of the way. We can do a little squat. So here you can do it facing onto the wall, but I will do it sideways. I think it's probably easier to see. With the feet together to begin with, so as close together as possible, we're lifting the chest. We're going to bend the knees as deeply as they can go without sitting all the way down. So we don't want to lose the effort of our body working. So we bend the knees to somewhere about parallel to the floor, maybe just slightly above, maybe very much more above if you like. Firm the belly muscles, keep the chest open by using the upper back, and then float up onto your tiptoes as high as you can go. Hold for a couple of deep breaths, and we're going to try and push up and down from tiptoes. Very good. We'll do the same thing with the feet a little bit apart, maybe about hip width apart. Standing tall to begin with. We come into our deep squat, not as low as we can go where we sort of slumped, but where we're still active and working in the legs, holding the chest open, floating the heels off the floor, just using the wall for support if you need to. If you don't, it's fine. And then pressing all the way up and releasing the heels down. If you need to, give your legs a little shake out. We'll just do 1 more like this. We're going to take the feet very much wider, and you can take the feet apart. Turn the toes out a little bit if you'd like to. It's entirely up to you. Starting with standing tall, activating the belly muscles. We're going to bend the knees deeply, trying to keep the chest open, the belly muscles working, not as low down as we can go, but still active in the legs. Float the heels up off the floor, using that sort of strength through the upper body, and then pressing all the way up onto tiptoes, heels down, and just relaxing the legs a little bit. give them a little bit of a shake out. And hopefully what you feel now is that your legs are really super active, and hopefully you feel really warm, because that was what we were aiming for in the wintertime. We want warming practice. So after all that, let's do a little quick forward bend before we do our standing practice. So we're going to take the feet any comfortable distance apart. Breathe in as the arms come around the body and up, and then breathing out as you fold forward from your hips, softening your knees, keeping the back long and extended for as long as possible, coming into your forward bend. And then here, just holding and arranging yourself. So you might like to have your hands a little bit further forward and give yourself a wiggle. You might hold elbow to elbow if your hands don't naturally touch the floor. Try to relax the back of your neck and bring your weight into the center of your foot, not just into the heels, not just into the toes. Think about maybe wiggling the hips a little bit from side to side, or turning your head gently from side to side. You might like to keep the hips still and sway the upper body gently from side to side. Doing any movements that feel good and coming up anytime you need to. For those who are still down, we're going to bend the knees deeply and look forwards. Reach the arms wide, drop the bottom, press through the flat feet this time, reaching the arms over the head as you come to standing, and drawing the palms together at the center of the chest to finish the movement. Take a moment as you stand tall, and then relax the arms down, give yourself a little wiggle. Very good. So just recently I've been quite congested, and I know that there's one or two folks out there who will be feeling the same. If at any stage when we're doing any forward bending you just feel like, oh, that's not quite for me, you can either keep your chin up or just not come down all of the way. We are going to start at the back of our mats and work ourselves forward. So we want as much length in the mat as we can. So stepping right towards the back of your mat, and your feet don't have to be absolutely together. So just taking a stance that works for you. Here, we're just going to work our way into a progressive balancing standing series. And when we reach the front of the mat, we'll change it into something else, but we'll pause as we go. So let us begin with turning the palms forward, dropping the fingertips down, lengthening through the crown of the head and activating the belly muscles, maybe softening the knees so we activate the legs as well. Let's take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Then we're going to breathe in as we take the arms around the body and up, and breathe out as we bring the palms down to the center of your chest. One more time, breathing in, take the arms around the body and up. Breathing out, palms together, center of the chest. This time we're going to breathe in, taking the arms up, hands open apart from each other, and breathing out as the shoulders come down. Breathe in as you lean over to your right side, just a nice little side bend. Breathing out, return to center, still firm through the belly. Breathe in, bending over to the left. And breathing out, returning to center. We'll do a little twist. Breathe in as you twist to the right, allow the arms to come out at about shoulder height. Breathing out, return to center. Breathe in, twist to the left. Breathing out, return to center. Breathing in as you open your chest. Breathing out, bring your elbows down to cactus arms, out at shoulder height. We're going to lift the right heel from the floor, taking the weight onto the left foot, and float the right knee up. Here, we're twisting towards that right knee, so bringing the left elbow towards the right knee for a little twisted dancer, and then we're going to unwind, step the right foot down, and let the arms come down to the side. So we have now the right foot slightly in front of the left. Both feet are flat on the floor. We want to get our weight between the 2 feet so it's nice and balanced, and find a point of focus ahead of us. Firm the belly muscles. Take the arms around the body and up. And here, don't worry too much about your breath as long as you're breathing. And here we're going to soften the shoulders down and then bend over to the right. Press into both feet. Come back to the center And in the center, we're going to bend over to the left and come back to the center. Then we're going to reach forward with the right hand, take the left arm out at shoulder height, move our weight onto that right foot and float the left leg up, opening the chest. From here, we're bringing the left knee forward and the arms come back to cactus arms. And then we take the right elbow towards the left knee as we twist into our twisted dancer pose. As we unwind, we lengthen the left leg and place the foot down, the arms come down to the sides of the body. Now we've got the left foot in front of the right foot, both feet nice and flat. Use a point of focus ahead of you, take the arms around the body and just find that sort of nice large beach ball holding position. Soften the shoulders down, firm the belly, and when you're ready, you can reach the arms over to the left. So do a nice side bend to the left, and then return to the center. We're going to side bend to the right, and return to center. Here in the center, we're transferring our weight into the left foot. The left hand goes forward and up, the right arm out at shoulder height, opening your chest as you float the right foot from the floor, and then bending the elbows to cactus arms as the right knee comes forward. And then we twist the left elbow towards the right knee in twisted dancer. And then unwind, arms down to the side as you step your right foot to the floor, transfer your weight forward. So your weight is between both feet. Reach the arms forward and up. Soften the shoulders down, firm the belly, lean over to your right side first. And then returning to the center, leaning over to the left. And returning to the center. We're transferring our weight into the right foot, right hand forward, left arm out at shoulder height, floating the left foot off the floor, firm in the back of the body, and then arms to cactus arms, bending the left knee forward and taking the right elbow towards the left knee, twisted dancer. Unwind as you place the left foot down, arms down by the side. We do our final round of this, coming to the front of the mat, reaching the arms out, softening the shoulders down, bending over to the left first, and returning to the center, bending over to the right, returning to the center. Transfer the weight into the left foot, reach the left hand forward and up, the right arm out at shoulder height. Open your chest as you lift the right heel from the floor, and then cactus arms as you bend the right knee forward. Do another gentle twist, and then placing your feet down side by side, allow your arms to come down around the body, bending your knees deeply, and find chair pose. In chair pose, we're going to just gently wriggle the hips backwards and forwards, tucking under, tucking out to find a neutral spine. Opening your chest, arms as wide as you like to achieve that. It can be narrower if you prefer. Keeping the chest upright, the feet really active. And from here, we're folding into a forward bend. In the forward bend, give yourself a little wiggle, anything that feels good. It should be quite a nice pose to do after our standing postures. And then we're going to step the feet back and take a downward facing dog. So pressing chest towards thighs, soften the knees on this round. Let's keep the head nice and between the upper arms. Maybe turn the head briefly from side to side. And then with soft knees, wiggling the hips from side to side. So we just get that sense of length in the low back and easing out some of the effort from the center of the body. When you're ready, you can bring your knees down to the mat, and we're aiming to have the knees a little bit further back from the hands than usual because we're going to do a waving vinyasa, but we want to do it just from the knees today. So taking the hips back towards the heels, the forehead can come towards the floor, pressing off your feet to round your spine forward. As your shoulders come over your arms, you can gently glide the inner elbows towards each other and open your chest. And then pressing through the hands to round your spine backwards, scooping the belly in as you go, forehead towards the floor, hips towards heels, doesn't have to reach in either direction all of the way. One more time, rounding forward, pressing off the feet rather, gliding the inner elbows towards each other, the shoulder blades down to open the chest, and then rounding back the way, bringing the hips towards the heels. From here, we're going to come into a nice downward facing dog again, nice and soft in the knees, maybe giving our down dog a little bit of a walk so we can feel a bit of length down the back of the body. And when you're ready, you can walk your feet forwards towards your hands. And again, taking chair pose, bending the knees deeply from your forward bend, sweeping the arms forward and sitting into chair pose. Wiggle the hips if you need to. And from here, we're going to move into our standing series, but we're going to take a rest. So come up into Tadasana, arms down to the sides. Give yourself a little wiggle and rest while I show you what our first round will be. So do take some time to wiggle anything, shake out anything, soften anything that needs any of that doing. So we will be at the front of our mats and just watching for now. We will come back into our chair pose. And from chair pose, we're going to float the right heel off the floor, take the arms to cactus arms, and come back into that twisted dance, but with more of a bend in the standing leg. And then we're going to lengthen arms and legs into a standing spinal twist. And then we're going to take warrior 3 and put the back foot down to take warrior 1. When we come to warrior 1, we're going to be lengthening the front leg and then bending the elbows back to open the chest as we bend the front knee. And we'll do that 3 times. Very simple movement. And then we're going to come back into our warrior 3. I'm going to have to give myself a bit more room, I think. And then standing tall as the leg comes forward, coming back to twisted dancer, back to chair pose. We'll take a forward bend and do a little waving vinyasa or something similar in between from our downward dog, and then we'll step forward and do the whole thing on the other side as well. Ooh. So we're aiming for steady. We're aiming for, it's not designed to be super vigorous. It's demanding because we're balancing a lot of the time. So there's a lot of stabilizing, a lot of core work, a lot of strength work, a lot of activating of those big muscles. But if any time you feel yourself a bit wobbly or you need to put your foot down, don't worry about it. I'm sure I'll be doing the same at this end too. So let us have a little bash here. I'm going to give myself a bit more room. You can be at the front of your mat if you like. You just need enough room to step back. I've just got this wall here. So in your Tadasana alignment, turning the palms forward, settling the shoulders down, finding that lift in the body, a gentle engagement with the belly muscles as well. Let us start by reaching the arms forward as we bend the knees into our first stage of chair pose. Here we can tuck the tailbone under and out until we find a nice neutral spot. And then take the weight onto the left foot as we lift the right heel, drawing the elbows wide into cactus arms. We're going to float the right knee up and then twist the left elbow towards the right knee into a really, really nice squatting twisted dancer. And then from here, lengthening arms and legs. And then we're going to reach the left hand forward as the right leg comes all the way back into a variation of warrior 3. And then take the right foot to the floor, swing the right hand forward. The front knee is bent, the left knee is bent as we open the chest and find warrior 1. Here, we're going to breathe in as we lengthen the front leg and breathe out as we draw the elbows wide and press that front knee into a bent position again. So really open across the chest. Breathing in as we lengthen the front leg, opening the chest. Breathing out as we draw the elbows wide. Press into both feet, but bend the front knee. Breathing in, lifting and opening. Breathing out, opening the chest. And then let your breath find its natural rhythm. I'm going to use a point of focus Transfer our weight into the front leg as we reach the hands forward and lift the right leg from the floor, warrior 3. And then standing tall, just hinging yourself upright on your left leg. Bring the right leg forward and twist the left hand towards the right, standing spinal twist. Find your twisted dancer, bent elbows and knees, and then step into chair pose. Feels really nice to have that foot back on the floor. We fold into a forward bend. Take a moment in the forward bend, and then step the feet back into downward facing dog. So just easing in your down dog, easing anything that feels like it needs easing. If at this stage you'd like a little rest, either lying on your belly or in child's pose, please take it. We're going to take our knees down and do a waving vinyasa, 2 of those. So taking hips towards the heels, reaching forward as much as you need to give yourself space. Press off your feet to round through your spine. Glide the shoulder blades towards each other, the inner elbows towards each other to open the chest. Nice and firm in the belly. Press through the hands to round the hips back towards the heels. And we'll do one more like that. Feeling the space underneath the arms and really feeling the space underneath the body. Opening the chest as you bring the hips low to the floor. And then rounding through the spine to come back into that extended puppy dog pose. From here, we can come back into downward facing dog. For those who've been resting, if you have been resting, you can join us now. And then walking your feet forward to your hands, coming into a standing forward bend, giving yourself a moment, maybe a deep breath in and out before bending the knees deeply, reaching the arms forward and coming into chair pose. So here in our chair pose, we're ready to do the second side. We're going to wiggle the hips just to find a neutral spine, and then take the weight onto the right foot. Float the left knee up as we bend the elbows out to the side and bring the right elbow towards the left knee, twisted dancer. Extending arms and legs into a standing spinal twist, and then reaching the right hand forward and the left leg back as we come into warrior 3. Take the left foot to the floor, swing the left hand forward and come into warrior 1. Nice and firm in the legs. Firm in the belly. We're going to breathe in as we lengthen the front knee and breathe out as we draw the elbows wide and bend into that right knee again. Breathing in, lengthen your front knee, arms up and open. Breathing out, opening your chest, bending into that front knee. One more time, breathing in and breathing out, pressing into both feet. From here, let your breath find its natural rhythm again. We're going to transfer our weight into the right leg as we reach the hands forward and gently lift the left leg from the floor, warrior 3. And then we're standing tall. We've got arms nice and wide to begin with. Left leg forward, finding a standing spinal twist, long arms and legs. Then bending the elbows and the knees for twisted dancer. And then unwinding into chair pose. And we fold into a forward bend. From the forward bend, take a moment here if you'd like to. Step back to downward facing dog. And if you would like to, if you prefer, you can take a rest here in child's pose. Do any variations in your dog that feel good, a nice little wiggle. And then we're going to bring our knees, chest and forehead to the floor to find a pose for cobra. So here we've got the forehead on the floor. We'll take the the hands nice and wide, around about chest height or shoulder height. Think about drawing the thighs towards each other and then pressing the pubic bone down to activate a little bit of length in the low back, lifting the belly muscles, using the buttocks, pressing the feet down, roll your shoulder blades towards each other. We're going to work dynamically, breathing in as you lift the upper body away from the floor, elbows stay bent, shoulders stay down, and breathing out as you bring the forehead back down to touch the mat. Breathing in as you lift, maybe looking forward if you're high enough, looking down if you prefer, breathing out as you lower. Let's do 3 more. Breathing in as you lift, lower body nice and firm, elbows close to the body. Breathing out as you lower. Breathing in as you lift. Breathing out as you lower. Last time. Breathing in as you lift. Breathing out as you lower. Very nice. Hands can come a little closer to the body if they've been wide. Tuck the toes under and then firm the belly as you move the hips all the way back towards the heels, finding an extended child's pose or a puppy dog pose as you prefer. Give yourself a deep breath in and out here. When you're ready, come into downward facing dog. Wriggle any bits of the body that need wriggling. Swing any bits of the body that need swinging. And then gently walk your feet forward towards your hands. And find your forward bend. Make sure your feet are in a good position. And then we're going to bend the knees deeply and find chair pose. Soften the shoulders down. Give a little tilt of the pelvis. And then we're going to take a little rest again. So standing all the way tall, opening the chest, floating the arms down to the side. Give yourself a little wiggle, wiggling anything that needs doing. And take a breather. So we've done our variation where we have only only two of the warrior poses. And now we're going to do a variation where we put in our third warrior pose, which is actually warrior 2. Oh, goodness gracious me. Okay, so just watching for now. We do exactly the same as we did before. We do twisted dancer, standing spinal twist, warrior 3 and warrior 1. But this time we're going to turn that into warrior 2. We might need to shift our feet around or maybe give ourselves a bit more space. Whatever it might be, we'll spend a moment just making sure that everyone feels comfortable with their alignment in warrior 2. And then here in warrior 2, we want to feel the firmness of our feet and just do a gentle backwards and forwards. So we're reaching away from the front leg and then we're reaching over the front leg. And we're going to go backwards and forwards 3 times. And when we come to our final extended side angle pose, we'll twist, she says, come back into warrior 3, back through our standing poses to our chair pose and do the same thing after a little floor work to the other side. No problem at all. Take it easy. Do 1 round instead of, 1 repetition instead of 3 if you prefer, or rest out of any bits that feel like too much today. Let us come to our chair pose. So feet nice and comfortable distance apart, firm in the belly, sitting into the first level of our chair, checking the neutral spine. And then from here, we're transferring the weight onto the left foot, lifting the right heel, and then bending the elbows, lifting the right knee, and bringing the left elbow towards the right knee. Twisted dance pose. And then lengthening, she says, arms and legs in a standing spinal twist, reaching the left hand forward as the right leg goes back into warrior 3, and then stepping that right foot to the floor, warrior 1. Here is where we got to last time. And then here, we're going to turn to the long side of the mat on the right side and just make any adjustments here to your posture. Allow your arms to float down and focus on your feet first. So the back foot parallel to the end of the mat or slightly turned in, so the heel is slightly away, whatever feels best for your hips. Front foot pointing as it did at the beginning towards the front of your mat. Let your hips fall wherever they go. So don't be tempted to over square your hips to the side and let that front knee move. Keep your front knee, it doesn't need to be directly over your foot, but along the center line of the foot. So it could be very much further forward or a little bit further back, but as long as it's along the center line of the foot. Once we've got the feet working, have that sense of scooping the insteps up to really activate the parts of the foot that are pressing down. Firm your buttocks, firm your front knee, or firm your front thigh, if that makes sense, and reach the arms out, reaching the fingertips away from each other, drawing the shoulder blades towards each other, and gazing over your front middle finger. From here, we're going to, with our breath, breathe in, take the right hand down towards the right leg, reaching the left arm up, And breathe out. Bring the left forearm down to the left thigh and reach the right arm over. Firm in the belly, firm in the legs. Breathe in. Reaching back as you open the left side of the body. Breathing out, reaching forward as you open the right side of the body. Breathing in. And breathing out. From here, we're turning the hips, pivoting on the back foot to square our hips towards the front of the mat. Transfer your weight into your left leg and reach your arms forward in warrior 3. And then standing tall, arms nice and wide. Right leg forward, twisted, standing spinal twist. And then bending elbows and knees for twisted dancer. Unwind yourself into chair pose. And then fold into a forward bend. Take a moment in your forward bend, wiggle anything that needs wiggle, maybe a gentle nod or turn of the head. And then we're stepping the feet back into downward facing dog. Make any adjustments you need in downward facing dog. And from downward facing dog, we're going to bring ourselves forward to plank, knees, chest, forehead. Feel free to take a child's pose if you wish to. Arms a bit wider this time for our twisted cobra variation. So we are firming the thighs towards each other, pressing the pubic bone down, activating the belly muscles and the buttocks, rolling the shoulder blades towards each other, and coming up into a wider, open cobra pose. And here it might be enough just to sway your chest from side to side. The shoulders are down, there's no hunching, and the elbows are in towards the sides of the body. But for those who would like to, you can turn the left shoulder towards the floor as you look to the right, and then come back to the center and turn in the opposite direction. And here we keep the center of the body firm, the legs firm. We gently press up and turn in the opposite direction. Press up and turn to the left. So we're doing one more to each side. These are really nice for the chest and the arms and the upper back in terms of strengthening, but they wriggle out a lot of tension as well. When you're ready, coming back to center, forehead to the floor, hands back onto your mat, close to your chest. And then from here, we're tucking the toes under and bringing ourselves back into an extended child's pose. Hips towards heels, lengthening through the back of the body. And then when you're ready, you can tuck your toes under, come back into your downward facing dog, make any movements that feel good, give yourself a little wiggle of the hips, maybe a turn of the head. And in your own time, walking your feet forward to your hands to take a forward bend. Bend the knees deeply, swing the arms forward as you come into an upright chair pose. Make sure your hips are in the right place, wiggle them backwards and forwards, pelvis everywhere, all good. Opening the chest and then doing the same thing to the left. So take your weight onto your right foot, lifting the left heel, take the elbows out to the side of the body, left knee up and twist the right elbow towards the left, twisted dancer pose. And then extending arms and legs, standing spinal twist. Reach the right hand forward and the left leg backwards as you find warrior 3. And then taking the left foot to the floor, swinging the left arm forwards, right knee is bent, upright position for warrior 1. Here, we're going to turn to the left side of the mat, take the arms wide, relax the arms to the side and find the best alignment for our feet. So making sure your back foot is either parallel or slightly turned in, front foot still pointing to the front. And then activating everything that you need to. So front knee is bending, so your right quadricep is working hard, firming across the buttocks, lifting in the belly muscles, reaching the arms wide and looking over the middle of the right fingertip, or the right middle fingertip as the case may be. So from here, we coordinate breath and movement together. Breathing in as you lengthen the left hand down and reach the right arm up. And then breathing out, keep the legs exactly the same, just taking the right forearm to the right thigh, reaching the left arm over. Keep the legs the same, pressing into the feet. Breathe in as you lift the right arm, stretching the right side of the body. Breathing out as you reach the left arm over, lengthening the left side of the body. One more time. Breathing in and breathing out. From here, we're going to turn the hips towards the short side of the mat at the front. Reach both hands forward, lift the left leg up as we transfer weight into the right, and then long arms and legs standing tall. Left leg comes all the way through, and we twist towards that left leg. Bend knees and elbows, both legs, both arms, twisted dancer. Unwind into chair pose, and then fold into your forward bend. Take the feet all the way back into downward facing dog. Give yourself a little minute in downward dog. And for anyone who wishes to, take a rest lying on your tummy or with your child's pose. For those of you who are comfortable, you can do a waving vinyasa with the knees off the floor or a waving vinyasa with the knees on the floor. Either one is good. Drop the hips to the heels, press off the toes, round through the spine. As your shoulders come over your hands, glide the shoulder blades down to open your chest, firm belly and buttocks, and then bending the knees to round through your spine back into downward facing dog. From down dog, one more time, dropping hips to heels, press off the toes to round through your spine, glide the shoulder blades down to open your chest, and then bending the knees, rounding through the spine back into downward facing dog. Take a moment in your down dog, make any movements that feel good, a little wiggling here and there. Walk your feet all the way forward when you're ready in a standing forward bend, nice and soft in the knees, and bringing the hands forward to finish in chair pose. From chair pose, we're going to breathe in as we lengthen the arms up, lengthen the legs, breathe out, arms down to the side. Give yourself a little wiggle. And rest for a moment. I'm trying to think how much time we've got, whether we've got time for one more variation. So I think we probably do. So take a breather, wiggle anything that needs wiggling. I'm going to demonstrate on the other side, just because otherwise I do an awful lot on my right side. Okay, so we'll do exactly the same thing on the way in as we've done before. Twisted dancer, standing spinal twist, warrior 3, warrior 1, warrior 2, and then we're going to find goddess pose. And here in our goddess pose, we're going to bring the arms across the body, hug the shoulder blades, and then if you want to, you can take Garudasana, eagle arms, but if you prefer, you can just hold onto the shoulders. It doesn't matter which you choose. And we're going to keep our goddess pose, knees wide, feet turned out, and do 3 circles in each direction with our eagle arms. So very simple, 3 circles in each direction, and then we'll find our way back towards the front, the same way as we went into the pose, we come back out of it. Okay? Super. Sounds really straightforward. Let us do our final round to each side, and we will probably do some dolphins in the center for those who are up for that. We'll take a little child's pose rest for those who prefer. So standing wherever is comfortable on your mat, turning the palms forward, dropping the fingertips down. Deep breath in and out. We're going to bend the knees and sweep the arms forward. Find chair pose. Wiggle anything that needs wiggling to find your neutral spine. Take your weight onto your left foot, floating the right heel up, elbows nice and wide as the right knee lifts, and twisted dancer, left elbow to right knee. Lengthen arms and legs in your standing spinal twist, and then reaching the left hand forward as the right leg goes backwards, warrior 3, right foot to the floor, right arm forwards to warrior 1, and then twisting to look at the long side of the mat, arms nice and wide for warrior 2. Warriors all over the place. From here, we're just going to square our hips to that long side of the mat and let both of the feet turn out And the knees again, just tracking the feet. We can come as deep down into this squat as you want. I'm going to stay higher up because we've done loads today. We don't need to do more. Let's lengthen the legs while we wait for our arms to be in the right position. So we're going to take the right arm over the left arm and hug the shoulders as closely as we can, and then let the elbows be really heavy onto the chest. Start by taking a long, deep breath in and a long, deep breath out. Maybe just do one more like that. Feel the space between the hands as you breathe in across the upper back and out. Very nice. And then here we can bend our knees as deeply as feels comfortable. For those who'd like to stay here, you can, or you can bring the backs of the hands or the palms of the hands towards each other. Let's start by going to the right in our circles. Trying to keep the legs pretty much stable. Nice and firm through the belly muscles, making 3 circles in that direction before going the opposite way. Keeping the feet firm. One last time. As we come to the top of the movement, relax the hands down the body and reach them apart. Turn the right foot in, the left foot in, find warrior 2. Lengthening the right leg. And then we're going to swing the right hand forward to find warrior 1. Reaching both hands forward, transfer your weight into your left leg for warrior 3. And then standing all the way tall, bringing the right leg forward, twisting towards that right leg, long arms and legs for standing spinal twist, and then bent elbows and knees for standing twisted dancer. Come into chair pose, fold into your forward bend. Here, making any movements that feel good in your forward bend before stepping back into downward facing dog. Again, any movements that feel good. And then we'll take the knees to the mat. For those who want to do dolphins, you can do dolphins here. For those who prefer to do a little rest in child's pose or lying flat, please do so. No problem at all. I'm only saying that because a few of us have been ill recently. And so not trying to expect too much of the body too soon is a good thing. So if you want to do a few dolphins, then we're going to take the arms and we're going to cross the right arm over the left arm. So in front of you, the right forearm is on top, and then take your elbows down to the floor, open the hands and interlace the fingers with the right forefinger or thumb on top. Tuck the left little finger in underneath. Try not to let your elbows come further apart than just inside, shoulder width apart. And then we're going to lengthen the legs, just as we do for a downward facing dog. You can keep the knees soft if you like, give yourself a little wiggle, pressing the forearms and the outside of the hands into the floor to move the chest back towards the thighs. Give yourself a little bit more length if you need it. And then here, firming the belly, we're going to look forward as we draw the shoulders towards the hands, and then look back towards the feet as we take the shoulders behind the hands. Now, if you need to, you can do this with your knees on the floor. Just open the knees away from the elbows a little bit to give yourself some space. This is number 3. We're going nice and slow and steady. We're going to aim for 5. If you were really vigorous, you could do 10, but do bear in mind we've already done quite a lot of practice today. So when you're ready, you can bend your knees to the floor, and we'll take a little child's pose here. The arms are in front of the body. For anyone who would like to, you can tent the fingertips of the right hand and just slide the left arm underneath. So a little twisted child. And you can do this with the knees together or the knees apart as you choose. Relax in your twisted child's pose, looking to the right for a deep breath in and a deep breath out. When you're ready, you can come back to the center, reach the hands forward, and find your way into downward facing dog. Little wiggle in down dog of anything that needs wiggling. And then we're going to walk the feet forward to the hands and take chair pose for our left side. Soften the shoulders down, wiggle the hips to find your neutral spine. Take your weight onto your right foot, float the left heel up, elbows wide, left knee lifted, twisted dancer. From twisted dancer, ooh, she says, lengthening arms and legs for standing spinal twist, and then reaching the right hand forward and the left leg backwards to find warrior three, stepping the left foot to the floor, reaching the left arm forward to find warrior one, and then we're going to twist to the long side of the left side of the mat for warrior two. From warrior two, turning your feet open, taking the arms wide. We're going to let the legs lengthen and then wrap the left arm over the right arm to hold onto the shoulders. Take 2 deep breaths here, holding as tightly as you can. Breathing in to find the space across the upper back and breathing out through the mouth. One more deep breath in and breathing out through the mouth. Then bending your knees as deeply as you'd like to, bringing the hands into eagle arms if you'd like to, or just keeping the hands on the shoulders. Let's do 3 circles, starting by going to the left first. Trying to keep the legs pretty steady here, feet working hard, balance working hard. And then when you're ready, circling 3 times in the opposite direction. Remember, you could just hold steadiness in the center if you'd like to, or just doing 1 circle in each direction if that feels like enough. When you're ready, taking the hands to the shoulders, lengthening the legs, reaching the arms down. We're going to turn both feet to the right, bend the front knee, which is the right knee for warrior two. And then we're going to swing the left arm forward, square the hips into warrior one with the arms up. Transfer your weight into your right foot, lifting the left leg for warrior three. And then standing tall as we bring the left foot forward, arms wide, long arms and legs, standing spinal twist, bent elbows and knees, twisted dancer. Find chair pose, both feet on the floor and fold into your forward bend. From your forward bend, wriggling anything that needs wriggling, step back into downward facing dog. And here in downward dog, we're going to do one final, either cat-cow, knees down waving vinyasa, or knees up waving vinyasa, rolling forward through the spine, opening the chest. We're going to do 2, but we're going to do it one last time, rounding back to center. And then one more time like that, softening the knees, pressing off the feet to round through the spine, opening your chest, and then coming back into downward facing dog. From down dog, knees can come to the floor. If you did dolphins on the previous side, you can do them again on this side, or you can just take a rest. If you're dolphining again, last time we had the right arm on top of the left. This time we've got the left arm on top of the right. I can't remember where I was now. It's fine. And then we're going to put the elbows down, but this time the elbows are going to walk forward. So when we interlace the fingers, we've got the opposite thumb on top, which will be the left thumb on top. And we've got the the little finger tucked in. We want the elbows to be nice and narrow, so inside shoulder width apart, and the knees a little bit further back away from the elbows than they were. Tucking your toes and coming up into a much wider dolphin pose, pressing chest to thighs, keeping the hips high, but there's much more space between the hands and the feet. And again, looking forward as you bring your shoulders slightly forward, over towards the hands, and then pressing back, looking back towards the feet. Long in the legs, lifted in the belly, doing up to 5 or 10 of these if you prefer. Nice and slowly is really good for activating the strength required here. We are using the forearms, pressing down the hands as well. And it's very good for our center core. Final one. Then we're going to take the knees down to the mat, find our lengthened child's pose, forehead towards the floor. You can rest here, or if you did it on the previous side, a nice twisted child, tenting the left fingertips, sliding the right hand underneath the left. You can widen your knees if that feels good. Softening your left arm as well, just taking a couple of deeper breaths. Feeling the spaces open across the upper back. When you're ready, you can come back to the center, and we are all going to finish by lying down on our tummies. So coming all the way forward, doesn't matter how you get down to the floor, making a pillow out of your hands. Gently turn the toes to face each other inwards, the heels outwards, but widen your feet so that they're not touching. Give yourself a few deep breaths here. An opportunity to soften all of the effort from across the face, the jaw, the shoulders, the abdomen, the buttocks, the feet themselves, even giving the feet maybe a little wiggle and then relaxing them. For those who enjoy the sensation, you can rock the pelvis from side to side, just massaging the fronts of the thighs, the front of the pelvis, the low abdomen into the floor. A little bit like what we do on the back of the body, but here with our body weight, just making the most of that contact opportunity. Whenever you're ready, you can bring your body back to stillness. For those who are comfortable in this position, you can stay here. For those who prefer to turn the head to one side and reach the arms down to the sides of the body, you can do that if you prefer, or make any other adjustments that allow you to rest in comfort for the next 5 deep breaths. At the end of your next exhalation, just preparing to move a little bit with the legs. So we're going to bring the feet a little bit closer together and then bend the knees. So your feet are suspended in the air behind you. And you can make little ankle circles, just wriggling the feet, rolling them one way, and then going the opposite way as well. With the knees still in this bent position, allowing the pelvis to be heavy into the floor and swaying the feet from side to side. So you get a little twist through your pelvis and a massage through the front of the thighs. Then if that feels good, you can have your knees a little bit further apart and you can circle the low legs around the knees themselves. So you get a combination of that rocking of the hips from side to side and varying degrees of contact with the thighs on the floor. Maybe getting a little bit more action into the top of the knee. Going the opposite way when you're ready. Allowing your upper body to be passive and heavy into the floor throughout. When you're ready, you can bring yourself back to center, relax the legs down, hands underneath the shoulders, forehead to the floor, and just bring yourself perhaps through an extended child's pose if it feels good to do that, to any comfortable upright position. Faces. So I said at the beginning of the class that we would use our squashy balls for doing our wind down to relaxation, and you totally can do that. But if you prefer to set yourself up now for resting and you've got your bolster to hand, you can do this over a bolster as well. Bolster's a little bit more of a lift. So for those of you who enjoy back bending as a movement of the body, then perhaps that would be great. And for those of you who don't enjoy being so bendy in the back, then perhaps a squashy ball would be better. Whatever you're going to do, putting on your warm clothes and having your blanket to hand as well. Excuse me. So if there are any things that we don't do in our wind down to relaxation that you feel that your body would really enjoy, feel free to take a few moments to do those. We're going to start by lying down onto the back. And if you're using a ball or a block or a bolster, just having it to hand, but perhaps just resting it somewhere where it's out of the way as you let the backs of the arms and hands, the head, the shoulders and shoulder blades, the back of the pelvis and the soles of the feet all find heaviness into the mat. So these parts of the body have been doing supporting, stabilizing, strengthening roles throughout our practice today. And so now with contact against the floor, they can soften their effort. They can begin to let go. They understand that they are no longer required to be front and center and focused. If you'd like to, you can gently roll your head from one side to the other, keeping the weight of the head on the floor. Allow the movement to be quite dynamic. And then when you're ready, coming back to center, you can take whatever support you'd like, lift the hips gently and place it underneath the back of the pelvis. So it's just something to lift the hips. It could be a cushion, a squashy ball or a bolster. If you've got a squashy ball, you can take your feet a little bit wider and give your hips a little swing from side to side. And that's really nice, or circling if you choose. It's really nice to find that sense of massaging, particularly against the really strong soft tissues that support the back of the pelvis, where it joins the hips and the spine together. In the center, just coming to a little bit of stillness and resting your weight down. If you'd like to, you can take your feet a little bit further away from the buttocks and you'll get a different sense of where the weight rests down. Arms, upper body, and back of the head, all heavy and passive into the floor. For those who would like to, you can extend your right leg away from you so that the back of the leg and the heel of the foot is towards the floor. And if you'd like to, you can bend your left knee in towards your chest. You can leave one arm on the floor if you're on the ball, or you might feel balanced enough to take both arms and draw the left knee a little bit closer in for those who enjoy that sensation. We're trying to allow the right leg to be heavy. You might enjoy a gentle easing of the left knee in and out to feel a difference across the front of the right side of the pelvis or across the space where the thigh joins the torso, which I realize is the pelvis as well, but it also happens all the way around the body, underneath and to the back. And then when you're ready, you can let that left leg go. Slide your right foot in, extend your left foot out or left leg out. Take a moment just to feel how it feels with just the left leg extended, the right foot still stabilizing the body on the floor. For those who would like to do a little bit more, drawing the right knee into the chest, either leaving one arm out away from the body or using both arms if you feel nice and stable or stable enough on the ball. If you're using a block, you won't need to worry about that. And then a gentle easing of the right knee in and out to feel the sensations across the point of the body where the left leg meets the torso. So it could be at the front or around the underneath or at the back, across the back of the pelvis perhaps. Just a lovely exploration of those sensations. When you're ready, you can let your right knee go. Bring your left leg in again first. So you've stabilized yourself in the center in a balanced way. But when you're ready, you can release the arms wide. And for those who would like to, lengthen both legs away from you and allow the back of the pelvis to be nice and heavy into the support. The ball is particularly good for supporting the automatic gentle back bending of the low back. Allow the whole body to be heavy, resting over the support, finding a moment of stillness. Taking a few softer, deeper breaths. After your next exhalation, just preparing to move again, allowing the belly muscles to gently engage, perhaps drawing the toes to point up towards the ceiling and then sliding the heels in one at a time, allowing your body a moment to rest in this more neutral position on your ball or your block or your bolster. And then as subtly as you can, lifting your hips to remove the support and allowing the hips to slowly come back down to the floor. And taking a moment just to feel the releasing of that pose. So you might have a sensation, particularly on a firm support, of warmth spreading out from the low back into the areas around the bottom of the torso, which is quite a nice thing to feel. You might have a sense of having released your hip flexors, which is one of the reasons why we do this, and easing of any discomfort in your low back. From here, keeping the knees nice and wide and firm across the belly, just gently allowing the knees to come down to one side, and then slowly, with control across your center, bringing the knees to the other side. Doing this nice and steadily, going from side to side. You don't need to aim for a twist. We did lots of twisting in our standing sequence, but we're just finding a different way to move the back so that we ease any tension or effort left over from our class. When your knees come to center this time, drawing the knees towards you, hugging them in, and giving yourself any small movements that feel good, just to find your way into comfort. I quite like to take my knees in one direction and my head in the other to give just a little rocking across the spine and the low back. It's really nice to work those functional fascial lines that go from one shoulder to the opposite hip, across the body in a diagonal as well. Whenever you're ready, preparing for relaxation. So you might like to roll to one side, come up and gather your bits and pieces, or you might be ready to go to relaxation straight away. For those who would like to, you can do relaxation up the wall or putting your legs up on a seat, like a sofa or a chair, or you might have a bolster and put something underneath the backs of the knees, like a cushion or a pillow or a rolled blanket if you don't have one. Doing a position for relaxation that allows the back of the pelvis to find itself against the floor in a way that feels really supported. And the weight of the legs is then lessened, pulling on the hips, if that makes sense. Whenever you're ready, just making any final adjustments. We're going to do a little lines-faced breath just to bring ourselves into a position for relaxation and release any tension from the face. So screwing all the muscles of the face in towards the nose, make a tight lemon sucking face. Then eyes open, mouth open, tongue out, exhale. And one more time, relaxing the face, and then screw all the muscles in towards the nose, tight lemon sucking face. Then eyes open, mouth open, tongue out, exhale. Close your eyes. Swallow deeply and gently roll the head from one side to the other, allowing the weight of the head to be heavy against the mat. When you're ready, bringing yourself back to center, making any final adjustments, and then bring your body to stillness. Take one deep breath in and sigh gently as you exhale. Allow your breath to fall into its natural rhythm and fall into quietness. Take your awareness into your forehead. Feel it softening. The space between the eyebrows separating, spreading. The area around the eyes releasing. Your mouth, tongue, jaw relaxing. Take your awareness into the back of your body. Feel all the parts of the back of your body in contact with your mat or with whatever you're resting on. The back of your head, the shoulders and shoulder blades, backs of the arms and hands, the buttocks, any other parts of the back of the body, and the heels of the feet. Experience the sensation of contact between your body and the floor. Move your awareness to all the parts of the back of the body not in contact with the floor. The back of your neck, wrists, perhaps parts of your back, parts of the back of the legs, the Achilles, and the soles of your feet. Experience the sensation of space between your body and the floor. Allow the whole of the back of the body to feel heavy, warm and supported. Releasing down. Allowing your breath to fall into its natural, deep, slow rhythm. Feel your body slipping into relaxation a little deeper with every exhalation. Gently begin to deepen your breath. Bring your awareness back into your hands and your feet, moving your fingers and toes, maybe rolling wrists and ankles. When you feel ready, you can stretch and move the body in any way that feels good. If you've done legs up on something, you can bend your knees in towards your chest. Right, like to bend to one side and then the other. Whenever you're ready, gathering yourself towards center, making any movements that feel good with your body. If you're using a bolster, it's quite nice to rest your feet on the bolster and let the knees go from side to side. If you prefer, you can just draw your knees into your chest, make any sort of wriggling, rocking and rolling movements. We're trying to gently bring our bodies back towards movement, so it doesn't need to be super vigorous, but you might want to make smaller, more dynamic movements. When you're ready, you can roll to one side and just curl up for a moment, keeping your eyes gently closed for as long as you can. In your own time, find your way to any comfortable upright position. And resting your hands over your heart or palms together at the center of your chest. Let us just take this moment to reflect back on our yoga journey through 2024. I hope that you can see the progress that you've made and feel it in your bodies. And also know that you have the ability to find comfort and ease whenever you need to, using the strategies and techniques that we have learned through the course of this year. I hope that you feel the strength that you've developed, both physically and also mentally. You can draw on whenever you need to. And I hope you find a quiet sense of joy within, looking back at all of the effort and energy that you have stirred and galvanized and created over the course of this year. Give yourself a gentle smile. Draw your chin towards your chest. And when you're ready, raising your head and opening your eyes. It's been my greatest pleasure to share yoga with you over the course of this year. I hope that you have a wonderful festive season and enjoy the break. We'll see you again in 2025. Namaste.